Good evening, Lee Wayne. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Good evening, Thea. Good evening, family, and welcome to our Wednesday evening podcast. It is so good to get to have you guys with us this evening. We're just going to wait for a few more people to join us before we do proceed. Welcome, Shiloh. I see you. Good evening, good evening. Please do like and share the live. Good evening, Prophetess Cindy. It's so good to have you with us tonight. Hello, Makosi. I see you in the comment section. Welcome, my lovey. Good evening, Pastor Mandy. Good evening, Apostle Marco. It's so good to have you guys with us tonight. It's good to be here. That is what Makosi says. We're excited to have Corinthians in the house. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I know that my connection was a little bit unstable earlier. Please do let me know if you guys can hear me loud and clear. Anybody in the comment section? Yes, awesome. Thank you for the confirmation, Prophetess Cindy. I actually had to switch to a mobile connection because the Wi-Fi was a little unstable. We're just going to wait for a few more people to join us. Please do share the live with your friends, with your family. Invite the other people from IC Church. Invite friends of IC Church. Don't be shy. Share the live. I just want to see if we can find our guest. I actually checked and I noticed that he started following IC Church earlier. Yes, I see Apostle. Thank you so much, Apostle. Okay, I'm just going to share the live as well. Good evening, Sandy. Oh, there he is. Good evening, Jack. I do see you in the comment section. Let's invite you. I am just going to ask our moderator to just change the grid for us as well. When I checked earlier, Jack actually came camera ready, people. Sandy says,
hello, can you hear me?
Good evening. I can hear you loud and clear, Jack. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Awesome stuff. I'm trying to find the camera here. I don't know. Now it's disappeared. I guess it's hating on me.
I just want to mention, Sandy just commented. Sandy is all the way from Germany, and she said that she's excited to hear you speak tonight.
Awesome. Greetings to Sandy all the way in Germany. I forgot how to greet in German. I learned it when I was in Russia. I know good morning, and I don't know, it's Tuten. Let me not try. Let me not embarrass myself, but hi to Sandy.
May I just mention to you that long before a partnership was formed between Corinthians and IC Church, we actually had our intercessors backing the blind soccer team all the way. And may I just add that Sandy is actually one of the blind soccer team's biggest supporters.
Awesome. Yeah, no, we definitely send love to her, and thank you to to Sandy for her prayers. Maybe that's where our goals came from, from her prayers and her intercession. I mean, for us to be playing in an international game, we're in the group of death against Brazil, who gave us a hiding. You might know very well, Latoya. The first game, they gave us a hectic hiding. I mean, we took a group of kids in a really professional tournament, and to be able to score more than one goal and to beat a team that's been together for 8 years, clearly it was Sandy's prayers coupled with definitely Prophetess Cindy, Pastor Marco, and the Innovation Church community. I'm definitely certain about that. When it
Not to
comes to
forget
prayer, you guys don't
Prophetess
play around.
Moveen.
Yeah, and Prophetess Movine, definitely. No, you guys don't play, and Kelsey as well. And you can go on. You guys are also big, eh? Go on and on and on. But yeah, no, man, you guys are such a blessing. So yeah.
It is so, so good to have you with us tonight. Thank you so, so much for making time to join us, taking time out from your very busy schedule. We really do appreciate it. I am going to introduce you because if I have to ask you to introduce yourself, you're going to have very little to say. So please allow me to sing your praises.
Yeah, no, I'll literally say quite a few words. I don't know how to really introduce myself, so please go for it.
I see that Pastor Moveen just joined the live as well. So, our theme for this year at the House of Innovation Church is partnership. And we say there's a lot of work that we cannot do, there's a lot of people that we cannot reach, but we are set on making a difference in our communities. We're tired of complaining about the state that our communities are in and then sitting back with our arms folded. So, we actually had Oh, Sandy just said that you must join Toastmasters. He's actually very well spoken, Sandy, but I agree. Yes, he can compete on an international level as well. So I
And
agree.
win, and definitely win, and take all the accolades. We're not here to play, but please do continue.
On the theme of partnership, so Corinthians is one of the people that we are partnering with this year. But let me formally introduce you. So, Jack Msibi, where do I even start? Founder of Corinthians, head coach of the international, may I say, the very first internet South African blind soccer team's coach, youth leader, a man who wears many hats. And then there's one thing that very few people know about you, that you're an author as well. Author
Yes,
of
yes.
The Diary of the Creator, a book that I actually tried to find, but I don't know why is this book not on the shelves, but that's a conversation for another day. We'll get to that.
Sure.
And then recently, CAF certified. We are so, so proud of you.
Boo, boo, boo,
Jack,
boo. Swagged.
so I think that's the reason why you couldn't find a Corinthians t-shirt. You actually
Yeah, man, it
you
was,
wanted to flex. You
of
wanted to
course,
flex.
in the name of Jesus. Hallelujah.
But it's all good. Jack, I want to ask you a question, just as a bit of an icebreaker. Who's your favorite soccer player?
Sure, that's quite easy. Cristiano Ronaldo. Boom.
I knew you would say that. What's his favorite tea?
What's his favorite team?
Yes.
Sure, sure, that's quite a hard one. I would assume it's Manchester United, but maybe seeing he's from Sporting in Portugal, that would probably be second. I'm definitely sure it has to be Manchester United. He's got red in his
No.
blood. United all the way. What's his favorite team?
Well, I hate to tell you that not his favorite team, his favorite tea, T-E-I. Do you want to answer that again? What do you think his
TEI.
favorite tea is? Yes.
Yo, I thought you said team. You see, now you're
No, not
coming with
team.
big English, and it's in the evening now. It's Wednesday evening. You're coming with TEI. What is that favorite tea? Like Joko, Rikofi, Rooibos. I think he
Yes.
likes Rooibos.
No, wrong. Penalty.
I can see you got grok jokes. You got
That
grok
joke is
jokes.
compliments. That joke is compliments of Sandy.
Yeah, I saw someone said Real
I
Madrid.
just
Look, yes, I think definitely Real Madrid would be there at the top, but I'm still certain that it's definitely Manchester United. I think the comment of it being Real Madrid is probably a Chelsea, City, or Arsenal or Liverpool fan. They're just trying to divulge. They're just trying to, distract us from the main purpose here. You can see there's
okay.
quite a few Barclays supporters coming on stage.
Let's get to the main purpose of tonight's topic. You and Caleb and Innovation Church will get along like a house on fire. But the Pinar kids love you. We don't want to disturb that relationship because we know you know how we feel about Manchester United. So let's leave the soccer for tonight. Please
Okay.
tell us more about Corinthians. When was Corinthians founded? What is the vision behind Corinthians?
Yeah, Corinthians was established in 2012, the 22nd of October. It was never planned. I always say that Corinthians was birthed from chaos, right? And the chaos being that I came from a well-off family. I was raised by a single mother who was doing very well as an entrepreneur, and she was working, so she was multitasking two different, can you say, jobs, and she owned property. Unfortunately, she lost the property. However, because of the property, I could go to good schools like Parkview Senior in Parktown. I went to King Edward's, the seventh school, which I believe is one of the best schools in the country, producing your Malcolm Marx, your Quentin de Kock, and we can go on and on and on. And then I went to Monash University my first year. Unfortunately, I could not finish my first year because my mom's property was hijacked. And so from that chaos, our life just turned around, right? So the property is hijacked, and that's a big source of income that we were relying on. And we had a house, we had cars, we had a lot of things. So we were doing well as a family. And unfortunately, because of that, life happened. So I was unemployed. I became a statistic, and I found myself playing with my younger brother, and we were playing one ball, which is soccer, where you put a brick on opposite ends, and we were in South Hills. So on the other side of South Hills, this is on Bethany Road. On the other side of South Hills, there's the flats, right? And there's like a spaza shop which was facing our road directly. And there were a group of kids that were outside the spaza shop. You know, those kids asked for 2 rand, just two
Yes.
rand. And now it's gone up to 5 rand. I don't know how they determine how it goes up. I don't know. Do they have their own street VAT
Inflation.
inflation? Like, how do they decide? Because whenever I go to South Hills, like, yo, coach, check, it's 5 rand or it's 10 rand. Then I'm like, but it was 2 rand. Now, how did it go up? Who determines the prices? But look, that's a discussion for another day. And so they asked to play. And I always say that Corinthians was established by them. Everything that happens in Corinthians, as much as I am a driver of a lot of the innovation, a lot of the things or the innovation that comes in is inspired by the community. And I'd like to think I'm a facilitator of things, right? I just facilitate platforms for the community to drive their solutions to the problems in the community. So here are 5 kids. Okay, it says 50% of the live goal is completed. I don't know, there's like a lot of tokens there. It's my first time on TikTok. I don't know if it's money or something, but we'll talk, Latoya. So these are 5 kids who are chilling at the by the spaza shop, and they saw us playing. And when you have a soccer ball, it's a luxury, right? You will know this when you're in a township. You'll know this when you're in the streets. The kid that is the most powerful kid is the one that carries the soccer ball because he determines what happens. Even if he's in Como, if he says I'm going home, you beg him, Baba, because he's carrying the soccer ball. He's carrying the game. So we had
Indeed.
a soccer ball. It wasn't big, and we were playing one ball, and they asked to play. We played. Look, I was older than them, so I could dribble them. Shibobo was spy to turn around, show them things they've never seen before. And I was a good soccer player, really good soccer player. And they were really amazed, and they asked me to coach them. And I was like, I've never coached. I'm not a coach. And they were persistent. And they came through the following day. They were knocking and banging by my gate. And my mom happened to call me. I don't know. I think it was a Saturday the following day, and yeah, I took them to the park. Now they were like 9, went to the park, opened up in prayer. And look, I was just running a training session from the back of my mind, from my own shared experiences. But I think what I noticed is a lot of things were happening in how, they were swearing, the infighting, and I noticed a lot of, I would say it's racism, where the colored kids were passing the ball to the colored kids, and the black kids didn't want to pass there was that thing I picked up. And so I sat them down and I started speaking to them and I said, hey, gents, listen, who wants to be like Ronaldo, the best player in the world? Who wants to be like Messi? And kids love that. They gravitate to those type of figures because they can relate. And so they'll lift up their hands. And so I found myself speaking to them, but then I also found the word of God finding a space in that session, unprepared, right? And so the word of God found its space in that session and started speaking about love, but it was relatable, right? And I was done, right? But little did I know that that was the beginning of Corinthians till today. Because those five kids never stopped coming. They kept on calling on their friends, calling on their friends. It was never planned. Next thing, my mom got a kit from Parktown Girls. It was a Diadora kit. So now imagine in South Hills, the kids have a Diadora kit. And now they're wearing Diadora.
Oh,
And next thing you have an opponent. Next thing you have two more soccer balls. Next thing, and I never planned none of this. I never planned none of this. I always say that it's the bus that God created. He just put me on the driver's seat, but he owns the bus. And he said, look, I'm giving you a responsibility for the people inside.
yes,
And it never made sense. But I found myself so convicted whenever I'd go to the flats in South Hills. And yes, there were gangs at the time. And yes, there were drugs and substance abuse. But there was something that was happening. I couldn't put anything to it. And I would go into the flats and they'd say, my mom would be like, what, you're going into the flats? It's dangerous and there's gangs and there's this. But there was this boldness, there was this conviction, there was this thing that nothing would harm me, and nothing did. And little did I realize that I was a father figure to these kids.
yes,
And I saw kids coming from Lynn Hill. I saw kids coming from Sporting. I saw kids coming from Robertsham. These are predominantly well-established clubs in the South. Jomo Cosmos, Wits in Marks Park. And they come into a park to train. And it's only now when I think about it that they were looking for a father figure and I had become that father figure. So it was more than just
yes,
developing the physical man, it was developing the spiritual man, the emotional, the mental, and the holistic man. And that's what they found in Corinthians. And the name Corinthians comes from the Bible. And I was reading the scripture from 2 Corinthians 12:10 during the tough times because we moved around quite a lot. And the Apostle Paul talks about how he boasts in his weakness. And he says that when he's weak in Christ, he is strong. And so that's where the name came from. And
yes,
Corinthians was birthed, and for 8 years we're in a park close to a tavern. And the vision was just to really transform the lives of these young people because I had the privilege of going to good schools. So I had been exposed. So I had a picture of what transformation looks like, and also being a youth leader, serving under
yes.
Pastor Lionel, a great man of God. And I just really wanted to impart that to them. So it was a process of discipleship and with the goal of transformation. And so that's always been the goal of Corinthians. And then we inherited a facility, and I can go on and on and on to where we are. So, yeah.
Wow, what a story. What a remarkable and inspiring story. I see that Tibucho just joined us as well.
Poo, poo, poo,
Um,
poo.
Kelsey is here. Sandy saying she's absolutely loving the story. The people in the comment section are loving how you an older brother and a father figure to not only people in the South, but to the nation of South Africa at large. Now, you mentioned that Corinthians started with but five boys in the dusty streets of Johannesburg South or in South Hills. But since then, you've evolved and transformed, and you've mentioned that that has only been by the grace of God. Corinthians that we know today focuses on discipleship through sports, through education. Corinthians is home to the, as I mentioned earlier on, South Africa's very first national blind soccer team. And I want you to tell us the story because every single time when I listen to that story, I literally get goosebumps. Tell us the story behind the blind soccer team.
Yeah, look, the beauty of Corinthians again is God, and I'm just in wonder and in awe, and I'm like, wow, I am His vessel, and I know a lot of glory is given to me naturally, so as the vessel that is seen. But sometimes I just sit back, and I'm like, it can't be me. There is definitely a higher and a greater power to be able to be coaching and journeying with visually impaired kids. It's what people would call ridiculous. I shared it with someone, and I was in a SAFA course recently, and they found out, and this is SAFA, these are instructors, they've got A licenses, pro licenses, and UEFA licenses, and they found out, and I never shared that I coach blind soccer. They found out through my profile. Some of them went through Google, because when I was there, a lot of coaches, they were like, "Hey, we've seen you before." I don't know where they've seen me before, but apparently it was on the news and YouTube, and they picked it up. And they found out about blind soccer, and they said it's impossible. It's not humanly possible. It doesn't make sense. And for a person to do it, they would need to have 20, 30 years experience with so many licenses and everything. And I never ticked those boxes, right? So I was disqualified to be the coach of blind soccer. However, when you have the Spirit of God, what
Yes,
seems impossible to man is possible
yes,
all around.
indeed.
And that's why I'm such a big, I'm trying to find the English word, advocate that we can find the solutions for the problems in our community, cities, and nation,
Yes,
in obedience and submission to the flow of what God is saying. And so with blind soccer, again, I never started it. Corinthians inherited a facility from the city of Johannesburg. We used to protest in South Hills. People don't know this. The counselor, she always tells people that I was a headache for her because we could not find grounds. We could not find soccer grounds. So we never marched. And Corinthians are spreading throughout all the parks, right? So we asked a lot of primary schools, high schools, no one could give us a facility. So there's a road in South Hills, it's called Outspan Road. If you know South Hills, there's Diversity High School on the right, and it's a main road when you enter into South Hills, right? And it's also known for a lot of accidents, a lot of bloodshed. So what we did, we started having soccer tournaments on that road, so we closed off that road. And that became a form of protest. And it frustrated everyone, right? And they'd call JMPD, and JMPD would come. And then we started outsmarting JMPD, because then we filled up the whole road with hundreds to thousands of people on Outspan Road. And they would have to call more units and more vehicles and use their resources. And then we started having that in all different parts in South Hills. And we just frustrated the whole system. And because we frustrated the whole system, and it was a peaceful one, but we used the soccer ball, the counselor found us as renegades, myself in particular. We had become disruptors in the community. It was a form of protest in saying, give us space, give us land, because Calgro had built its property.
yes.
And that's where I always say they shifted us out of South Hills and they got us into La Rochelle because we were a
Mm,
problem for the city. And so
mm,
I remember I'd lost my mom. I had stopped Corinthians. I was in my boxes, and the city came with the councillor and they said, "Look, we've got land. Please, leader, take the land and go do what you
mm,
know how to do best." And plus, the gang and substance abuse thing had come up. So when we inherited the land, Corinthians grew in so many sporting codes. But on the weekends, we had the Africa Cup of Nations, where different nationalities, because we're close to Rosettenville or in
yes,
Rosettenville, would come and play. And these two blind kids would be part of that. They would come and witness that. Somehow they found out that I was in charge and responsible for what's happening in the community. I don't know how or who, but I remember, and I can remember, I was going towards the stand, and I remember being touched. So there was two kids. One was fully blind, the other one was partially sighted. And the one touched me, and then I remember he said, "Hey, Uta Jack," I think it was like that Jack. Yeah, well, "Hey, Zwilo, Uta Jack, can we play soccer?" And I'll never forget that statement. And in my mind, I was like, "Yo, but you can't see, bro. How are you gonna play soccer?"
mm.
You
Little
know,
did you
and
know.
little did I know, right? And I was just like, there's no such thing as blind soccer, man. That's like crazy. How can blind people play football? I mean, both of you need each other to just find your space around the facility. Now you want to run, turn, shoot, score. It doesn't make sense. But here's the thing.
But
These
God,
two, but God, right? These two young people were persistent, right? And this is in November to December. They were persistent, like for 2 months. And so we closed and we went into holidays, and I found myself so convicted. And I was like, hey, these guys, they're always looking for me. And I used to duck and dive every time I saw them. Somehow they would always hear where I am. I don't know, it was weird. So January opens, and then, or during December, I started to study blind soccer, and I found it's a real thing. It exists in Europe. It's big up north, right? And I was like, wow. And I was looking at the YouTube videos, and I was like blown away, man. I was like, wow, are these people really blind? I mean, these people are turning, they're shooting, they're scoring. And I was like, probably there's a possibility we could have this, you know? And I prayed about it. I spoke to God about it, and I was really, 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 really convicted. I don't know. There's life goals here. I don't know what that means. You'll explain
yeah,
to me later.
just ignore that.
And there was a strong conviction. And I remember I shared with a friend of mine, and she was like, "Nah, dog, you crazy. Like, there's no ways. Blind soccer, no way. This is in December." And I was like, "Crazy. I'm the one person that will do crazy things." And with that conviction and the vision of what could happen, I then saw the Johannesburg Society for the Blind. And then I went there and I spoke to the principal, and the principal was like, look, the blind people do a lot of things, not soccer here. But
Mm,
we will give you the platform to speak to them. And this is where I spoke to the whole school, I remember. And I get goosebumps when I talk about it. I remember speaking to the whole school, and the whole school, there was like mixed emotions, mixed feelings. A lot of these young people lost their eyesight. So there was this reignited hope, like vision had
yes,
been restored,
yes,
because they lost their eyesight. I always remember Koketso, who could not see. He was supposed to go to
yes.
Wits. He could see, sorry. He was supposed to go to Wits the following year, but he slept, and something happened during the course of the night. He woke up, he could not see. He
Sure.
lost his eyesight completely. And he used to play soccer. Now imagine, I think the worst thing that can happen to you is to lose your eyesight.
Yes.
It's better for you to be born blind, right? Because you adapt and you grow into it. To lose your eyesight is the worst thing ever. Those kids were blown away. They were
Mm,
like, what? This is crazy. There's a chance here. There's hope. It's like giving them a new set of eyes. That's what it looked like in that room. And
yes.
then there was those that were like, this is crazy. How do you run? How do you move? How do you
Mm,
do this? And I
mm,
pitched it to them, and we started blind soccer in February. Then I looked for the two kids who
yes.
used to come to Corinthians. I tried to call them, and it said the number you have dialed does not exist. That's okay. I then went to where they stay, because they stayed up the road, and I would see them when I was driving out, and they would turn into one of the houses 2 minutes away from Corinthians. I knocked in one of the houses, in that house, sorry, and the response, after asking, I'm looking for these two gentlemen who cannot see, was, sorry, you in the wrong premises. I said, can I please check the back room? And I checked the back rooms behind the house, and they said, there's no people who are blind here. I then scratched my head, and I was like, okay, maybe I got the house wrong. I then
Mm,
checked the whole street on 11th. Till today, Dololo. Those two blind kids, according to them, have never existed. And then I was like, there is no ways that I can be the only person to have
mm,
engaged those two blind kids. So I asked the gents on the weekend who facilitate the soccer games, and I said,
mm,
gents, do you remember there was those two blind kids walking around? And the gents who are usually there were able to say, blind kids. There was one
wow.
guy who said he saw them, but then again, he was drunk when he said that, because the next day he was like, no, I was drunk. I don't remember what I said. So there's a hope to say, hey, maybe I'm not the only one. But till today, those two boys, gone. I'd say those are the founders of blind soccer, and we've grown it for 2 years, and we've taken the team to Russia, and we're now looking at establishing a league.
Wow, wow, wow. I literally get goosebumps every single time when I hear you tell that story. And that was undeniably an angelic encounter, beyond the
Yeah,
shadow of a doubt. And I think when one listens to your story, how Corinthians was founded, how the soccer team was founded, we can undeniably say that it's been God all the way. I never actually knew that Koketso lost his vision. I just want to share with our viewers as well. Koketso actually went on and he won player of the tournament in Russia. I just want to sing your praises once again. So these guys went to Russia. How long did it take you to put a team together? Was it you
sure.
guys trained for 2 weeks?
Yeah, so there's two Koketsos. So this one you haven't met, Elvina. This one
Okay.
he got his ref money. I just hope he doesn't end up on I blew it. He got his ref money. He was gone out. I just hope he doesn't. He got millions. Disappeared. He's like, I'm out, chap. Hey, nice 1 year with you guys. It was awesome. I'm out of here. I don't know where he is because we tried to get a hold of him. He's chowing money. So big ups to Koketo. Hey, dog. I hope you are listening to this, Koketo. Don't forget your coach, brother. You know, the Koketo that you're talking about, I assume is one of your favorite players because you follow us religiously. You like a big blind soccer fan. We only had less than a month to prepare. We had a 3-day training camp, and we had never played any competitive games before. And we went
Yes,
into a tournament with guys who are on YouTube, so it was crazy.
yes. Pastor Cindy says in the comment section, when angels move among us, yes, we agree.
Sure.
We agree. It's been God all the way. Pastor Mo says, dare to do the unthinkable. Pastor Mandy says she is getting goosebumps. Jack, allow me to sing the team's praises one more time. So you guys returned. You guys went to Russia as the underdogs. I remember one of the last conversations that we had was, yo, it's going to be a David versus Goliath story.
Yo,
And I think I share the inspiration that Prophetess Cindy actually shared. I forwarded that to you. And you
yeah,
guys returned. You won coach of the tournament, team of the tournament, player of the tournament. That was God every step of the way. And now you
sure.
guys are about to establish South Africa's very first blind soccer league.
Yeah,
That is massive
thank you.
on another level. That is major. The other thing that I want you to share with us, Jack, is tell us about the challenges that you guys have been facing.
Yeah, look, for us to have won all those accolades, it really doesn't make sense because in football terms, the team that wins any tournament is the one that is, I would say, entitled or that is deserving to get the accolades. It makes sense because they are the winning team, right? In the Russia aspect, I think our humility, because I remember going into a meeting and I went into two meetings. I went into a referees meeting because I didn't understand the international laws besides reading the IPSA manuals. And then I went into the coaches meeting. And I remember going into those meetings with humility in saying that we do not know as South Africa, we are new.
Yes,
And you have all these big countries that are seated there and all these highly esteemed coaches. And some of them had massive egos. And when I sat in there, I remember I sat in and I called TJ and I said, TJ, I want you to be with me when we sit into those meetings.
yes,
And I remember when South Africa had to speak, we said, we do not know, but we are here to learn. And
yes,
please do teach us and correct us where needs be. And I remember the Russians loved that. The Russians were like, wow, you know. And the Russians said, we will teach you and we will guide you and we will hold your hand.
yes,
And I think from there, that's where we developed authentic relationships because we were vulnerable. And it's not saying that we were weak, it's really just saying that we acknowledged our capacity at the time and saying, look, we're going to the tournament not to win, we're going to the tournament to learn. And we shared
yes,
our vision with the host and the announcers and how we carried ourselves. I remember speaking to the team and I said, look, we're not going to win this tournament, but we'll play to win. because that's what football is. No one plays football for fun. It's a lie. Let's not lie to ourselves. We can socially, but the end goal of football is to score goals, and the one that
Yes.
scores the most goals is the winner. So the
Yes.
objective is to win, right? With an element of fun to it. And I'm a winner. I play to win. But I also
Yes.
had the reality in me, or I was also realistic in saying we are not going to win this tournament. These are three-time European champions, World Cup champions, and they play in and out and they get paid. We're not getting paid. They were getting paid, you know. And I told the team, I said, no one's going to remember the score, but no one's going to forget what you left behind. And
Yes.
so our behavior and our character will be the legacy in this competition. And the
Yes.
boys carried themselves well. They did their bed, even though they were in a five-star hotel and there were people coming in to do the beds. They
Wow.
said thank you whenever they took food. They shook hands, you know. We learned the Russian language, the thank you, pasiba, the greetings, just the small things. And
Yes.
after each game, before each game, praying, but not praying to flaunt that we are Christians. In fact, we never went there telling people we're Christians. We would
Yes.
come together and pray in our corner, pray
Yes.
after a game, acknowledge the fans, and really do things with love. When we were in Russia, we never said we were Christians. We were told we are Christians.
Yes.
They said, "You
Yes.
guys
I
are
remember.
Christians." You
Yes,
remember
I
I shared
remember
this
you
with you?
mentioned they asked you, who do you serve? And I think that's also one of the biggest moments for me was when TJ actually kneeled on the grounds. They asked you guys,
That's
who
beautiful.
do you serve? You didn't have to mention that you're Christians. Your character spoke
No,
for itself.
no, 100%. We didn't have to. They identified us, and they
Yes,
were asking basically from a place of, are you Catholic, Orthodox, or Pentecostal, right?
yes,
So already they had said we are Christians. They just wanted to
yes,
find out what doctrine do we follow,
yes,
and for them they were moved by that, and that spirit is the legacy we left behind. When Brazil trapped us 6-0 when we arrived, pa 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 pa, we're like, yo, I go rough, but it was really going back to what the vision and the goal was. But what we left behind in Russia is why the Russians and the international community is still reaching out. And so, what has been the biggest challenge? Look, it's taken a lot of work because internationally we've got a network that is developing. Blind soccer is new in South Africa. And
mm,
so, what has taken a lot of work is really number one, getting the buy-in of the authority structures in this country. Because going to SAFA, going to the sports departments, recreational departments, they were like, there's no such thing. There's no such thing. And they would send me pillar to post. I'm talking about, yo, it's only been, what are we in April?
yes,
With the things that I do, they would send me pillar to post, pillar to post, pillar to post. And it felt like they were frustrating the process because they could not understand the vision. But I also had to have the patience for it. I remember sharing with my friends, they said, no ways, bro. If government was sending you left, right, and center, if it was me, I would have just dropped the ball. But because blind soccer is not about me,
yes,
and I see the vision of blind soccer, I continued. I remember going even with teacher, we'd go into meetings. We would sit for 3 hours, and government officials would just sit there talking about Muvango and something is Tembu on Showmax, and we are there in a meeting which we have agreed upon with them to talk about blind soccer, and they're just frustrating us, or they really don't take us serious. I was in meetings where we were attacked,
oh,
like unnecessary things, and we were belittled, and we talk about this year, pillar to post. So that for me, in advocating for a league to be formed, has been a lot of work. We are launching the first ever Johannesburg, or the first ever blind soccer league, but starting in Johannesburg, which will be a
yes,
template for the whole country. And there's 4 teams that are there. So it's also now teaching those 4 teams about the rules and the laws of the game. It's no more just running a club, it's running a club times 4, and running people and an association and working with government and submitting under government. So I had to get um, the buy-in of the local authorities. That was very important. Submission was important. Yes, we have an international network, but it's important that we can submit locally to the structures in this country, whether we like them or not, whether they corrupt or not, whether they are useful or useless. It was
Yes.
very important to get their
Yes.
buy-in so that this thing can
Kingdom
work. So I
principles.
can gladly say that SAFA is now on board. SAFA is on board. Gauteng province is on board. Not to resource us, but to say, okay, we've heard you. We will give you a paper to say we acknowledge what you're doing and we validate what you're doing. Let's watch what you're going to do. And that for me is perfectly fine. We don't request any resources from them because we know the answer is we don't have, right?
Mm.
We will fundraise ourselves. But it was important to submit under those authority structures. It's been very hard. I think I shared partially with my team. They don't know the story. It's been really, really hard. It's drained me. It's taken a lot. But by the grace of God, your prayers, the prayers of Innovation Church, the prayers at Rock City, the prayers of the church, we've been able to push for this. So we're going to be launching a blind soccer league. And in places like Kuruman, where we've been getting calls, in places like George in
Wow.
the Western Cape, in places like Limpopo, where we've heard that all over the country, there's hundreds and thousands of blind young people that want to play, girls included. This is going to be a template that we're going to end up running nationally. But we're
Yes.
starting in Joburg and then we'll run nationally. So that's where we are. And that's been the biggest challenge, the biggest fight. I know I take a bit long to get to the point, but I just wanted to give context of where we are.
We get you. Last week I joked and I said, welcome to Apostle Marco's podcast featuring Elvina and Innovation Church. And I think tonight it's befitting to say, welcome to Jack's podcast featuring Innovation
Yeah,
Church.
Pastor Marco and I are very similar. We've got
Same
similar
WhatsApp
vibes.
group.
Same WhatsApp group. Same
Same
WhatsApp
WhatsApp
group.
group indeed. Now, what you guys are doing the Lord's work. And I think that is why we've taken that stance to say that we behind you, we with you every single step of the way. And I think, Jack, the reason why you fight the way that you do, if we're looking at what Corinthians has established over the years, that is but fruits of your labor. But I want us to go back to the focus, back to the reasoning why you, or the vision you had when you started Corinthians. And one of the things that you always say, it's to assist young people to not only score goals on the soccer pitch, but off the soccer pitch as well. And I saw a picture that was posted by Esther. I'm not too sure if it's a recent picture. It could have been posted a while ago, but it was of a boy from Europe who visited Corinthians, and he wore a t-shirt that
Yeah.
speaks volumes. That t-shirt actually says that my inheritance is not gangsterism
Wow.
and that D word that we can't use on TikTok. And that's the reason why you fight so hard. You're fighting for our communities. You're fighting for our people. You mentioned something a while ago where you said drugs and gangsterism is not a colored problem. It is a kingdom problem. At this point,
Wow.
I'm also going to invite our pastors to join the live. Please tell us why that is something that you're so passionate about, and why is it that it's a fight that we cannot give up on.
Yeah, now you're bringing out the activist in me, and you will know my heart, especially with the gang violence and the drug and substance abuse that's happening
Gang violence
in
and
our
drug and substance
communities.
abuse. Gang violence and
Oh, there's just like a feedback
there
there.
was a bit of an echo. I'll invite Apostle Marco again. Maybe
Okay.
AM, you can just mute your microphone when you join. Okay, you can continue, Jack.
Yeah, look, I think coming from South Hills, I learned a lot about diversity and also maybe going to the schools that I went to and the institutions that I went to. And I think from last year I lost three young people in South Hills due to this whole gang violence thing that's happening, and it's really touched my heart. And I dream a lot, and I believe God speaks through dreams. And I remember I told my brother about this before we left South Hills. I saw the bloodshed that was coming, and but it was really, really bad. It was really, really bad. And myself, I've had a lot of encounters with drug lords there, but by the grace of God, because of the anointing, and not being naive or gullible, they would even summon me, you know,
Sure.
and I would engage them, and they would be like, "Hey, you Coach Jack, you know, you're killing business, but my lighty plays there by you." And I think about it now, I don't think the drug lords are just as lenient now. You know, the situation looks very bad. And the narrative that is driven is that it's a race driven narrative that is based on a race, that it's a colored thing. It's not a colored thing, it's a kingdom agenda that we need to attend to, because when a young person dies, it's a young person that's dying. It's not just a colored
Yes.
young person that is dying. And I think if we start changing our lenses, it'll really provoke us to act.
Yes.
Because when it becomes a colored thing, then it, you know, it goes deeper. Then it becomes, no, it's a surname thing, and then it's this thing, and we'll never act because it's not as personal as it should be, and it is personal. And for me, I'm more convicted about it. I cannot describe what really builds my conviction. Maybe it's coming from South
Yes.
Hills, working with the young people, knowing the state, but it's not only a South Hills thing, it's just
Mm.
in general, gang thing, a crime
Mm.
thing. And one of my prayers when I drive in the city, I pray for the city and I say, Lord, use me.
Yes.
And I know that it's a big prayer because it comes with sacrifice. And I shared
Yes.
the sacrifice with you, that I cannot live a normal life because
Yes.
it's availing myself to be a vessel to be used not only for
Yes.
community, but a city and a nation.
Yes.
Because we cannot continue with this. It's become normal. And I feel like we've accepted it. You know,
Mm.
young people are being gunned down, and all we can do is just put it on a WhatsApp group and accept
Mm.
it. And I'm frustrated. I cannot sleep at night. And
Mm.
I shared it with comrades, I shared it with friends, I shared it with activists, and you get a lot of responses, but usually the response is, no, but Jack, just push back. And it's not saying I'm going to
Mm.
run into the community and just go and confront the people, but it's saying the church has got power. The church is powerful.
Yes.
I really believe the
Indeed.
church is powerful. The church was in the forefront on the fight against apartheid. The system that we know as apartheid was the church. It wasn't just the ANC. You know, the ANC in and of its formation was priests, was pastors, was Saul Blackie, John Dube. These were clergy, these were pastors in the forefront. And that's to show you, you know, your Alan Busacks, the church was in the forefront. Frank Chikane, and we can go on and on and on and on. That in every liberation and fight against wickedness, the church was there. And so when scripture says that the gates of Hades will not, you
Prevail
know,
against
be
this.
able to stop, you know, the church, I really believe that. I think what we have now is a lot of denominations, but what we need is the church to come together. Denominations cannot stop what is happening in our communities, but the church
Yes.
can stop what is happening in our communities. I was just doing a quick research, and I'm going to hand it over to the man and woman of God there. And I was just studying the gangs that are operating. And when you look at it at face value, you think that it's young people chilling in a street corner and that's the gang, and then there's a chief and stuff like that. It's deeper. It's a
Yes.
spiritual thing. This thing was
Yes.
started in the 1920s, and it had different names, and the names involved.
Mm.
1920s, right? And it evolved over the years. The very gangs that we speak about have been around for a long time. So it speaks to ancient spirits that have been roaming our communities for a long time. These are not spirits that were roaming from yesterday. These are century old, decade old spirits. And so it will call for an intervention that is very different, and that we will have to hear what the kingdom is saying. And I believe that the kingdom of God is speaking, it's always been speaking. But can we hear what God is saying? Because God is not silent in addressing what is happening to his people. Those young people are his people. That even the ones who are captured by the powers of darkness are his people, right? As flawed as they are his people. And we should ask, what is the Spirit of God saying? And one thing I'm certain of is that the Spirit of God will not call us as Jack the individual. The Spirit of God will
Mm.
call us into these partnerships. And the Spirit
Mm.
of God will call us into community to address
Mm.
things. And that's how God works. He never just works
Mm.
only with an individual. Yes, He will call the
Mm.
individual, but He calls
Mm.
the individual into a community. He calls the individual into partnership. And that is what is needed right now. And so I don't think we have a gang problem. I don't think we have a drug problem. I think what we have is a pride problem, an ego
Mm.
problem. Because for me, those are small and minor things to what the power of God is. And I don't think those things can stop us when we can come together, you know,
Sure.
as the church and as the ecclesia. I'm really convinced. I think we've elevated and hyped all these things too much. and we've given them
Mm,
too much platform. We are more
mm,
powerful, we are stronger, we just need to come
mm,
together. So at times we need to just pause with the banners of the names of our churches and denominations and
mm,
organizations and really say, Pastor Marco, Pastor Cindy, I am here. Let's work. Let's
mm.
work. The harvest is really great. The harvest including those who are killing, the harvest including those who are stealing, the harvest including those that have bloodshed is great. So if God can do it for Saul, I'm sure that God can turn these young people, these gangsters and all these people into Paul. And we just really need to just hold each other's hands. We are powerful, Latoya. And so I'm convicted, and I know I'm kuluming too much. You provoked me, and it's something which is so big in my heart, and that's why we started Metaverse Schools. Metaverse Schools is not going to stop anything. Metaverse Schools is not going to change things, but Metaverse Schools is saying that, look, we started having discussions with principals, and we're saying here is a platform that can play a part in making a difference, and also opening our hearts and our space to really partner with Innovation Church. I love the name, and I see the vision of Pastor Cindy and Pastor Marco, and saying we're not looking at denominations, we're working as a kingdom. So yeah.
I had to contain the church girl in me from shouting hallelujah a number of times. I'm now going to thank you so much, Jack. I am now going to hand over to Apostle Marco and Prophetess Cindy. AM, welcome to Jack's podcast.
Good evening, and
Good
thank you so
evening.
much, Jack, for having us on your podcast. You are Pastor Marco number 2, and we are so glad to be partnering with you. I was actually sitting here and thinking to myself, I was reminded of our meeting that we had between the four of us. And I thought, no, let me mention that because what you spoke about now in the last section was so profound and it's really something that's awakened in our hearts and in our spirits. So, and everybody knows that our son plays soccer and we're very into soccer with Caleb, and everyone is very excited in the family. And I was sharing with you and Elvina, I think when we met the last time, I said to you guys, what stood out for me is really the power that soccer can have. And how last year, throughout the year, I was really just looking. I was looking at the fathers, how everyone looks at the mothers. The mothers are always present and it's always a mother thing. But the thing that we need to understand as a people, a community, and a church is that I am a mother myself. I love the things that mothers do. But there is something about fathers stepping into alignment and stepping into place that brings a community into order like never before that we cannot take away. And last year, what I experienced with Caleb's soccer journey was really the fact that I started looking at all the dads. You know how everybody says, the mothers are always there, and I'm even wearing a soccer mom t-shirt here because we're so proud, ladies being soccer moms and all of that. But I started watching the dads, and it was so profound to me how the fathers are present on that particular platform. And so many people, I posted something on Facebook last year, and I did share with you guys that I was a bit sad that people misunderstood my post. They try to make it about so the mothers are also there. And I'm not saying that mothers are not there. I'm just trying to celebrate the fact that when fathers are present, things begin to happen. And I started noticing that how the dads were present on the field, how the dads were there helping their sons with protein and advice, and the fathers were having meetings and talking to each other. And it was such a beautiful scene, a beautiful thing to behold, how men came together and how they actually strengthened the boys. And so when you look at soccer and what you are doing, it is a beautiful thing that we can draw the men in that regard and actually make them strong. Because men don't have to be fatherless. They don't have to be in a place where they go to a gang boss and want them to father them. We can actually use these platforms to bring in our children. You know, our Minister of Sport said something a while ago. He said that if we begin to bring in sports, we will divert the attention of our children and they will not be so interested in gangsterism and looking for other things. And I think when I look at the soccer field and I look at what the boys are and what they achieve, there is so many fathers on that platform. And the fathers are even fathering children whose fathers aren't there. There are coaches there that children look up to. And that is why I want to applaud you this evening. And I want to say thank you for using this particular platform and making it a strong platform. Because indeed, in this season, mothers, I love you. I am a mother as well, and we're not taking away from what mothers are doing. But in this season, we need the fathers. We need the spirit of the father to arise. We need the fathers in our communities and the fathers amongst our boys. And I honestly believe that this platform of soccer, together we can literally go and take communities and we can take the nation and we can literally transform our young men to become fathers themselves for the future. And so I want to applaud you, Jack, and I want to say thank you so much for everything that you are doing. We're excited about the partnership. I am excited because, as I say to you, I've seen firsthand what soccer can do to boys. It gives them a healthy esteem. My son has become a leader of note. The way he will take a team from someone that just started last year, now he takes the team when the coach is running late and he goes and he trains the team and they're all looking up to him. And that is what our young men need. And I'm proud to be associated with you and even my husband, with Pastor Marco, because he has made tremendous inroads in soccer and the people respect him. They know his name and he's literally become a father to the ones who are fathering our children. They are literally calling upon him and they are asking for his advice. And that is just how powerful this platform is. So yes, as much as we need the church, we need the four walls of the church, but we also need to go out and we need to take the gospel on the different platforms. And this is one of the 7 mountains that we need to take as a church. So I want to say thank you to you, Jack, and thank you, Elvina, also for bringing this partnership together. I feel like Mary and Elizabeth when they met, that the baby is leaping inside. That is how excited I am. But let me stop talking because I can go on. Jack just made me very excited. I can go on and on and on and on. Let me give over to my husband.
All right.
Pastor Marco's going to do a Pastor Marco. Let's go, sir.
No. I want to say something and then I want us to think about it for all those who are listening. Is soccer coaches. The club that we belong to, that my son belongs to, has approximately 2,000 kids.
Yeah.
Now, you can divide that by 20 per team. And what are you going to come up with? I think 100. I think you'll come up with 100. So we have approximately 100 coaches around the club. Now, this is what I want to say. Then you can think about it and then we see what we do about it. Those boys in those soccer clubs are more influenced by their coach than they are by their pastor.
Yes. I agree.
Those boys spend more time with their coach than they do with their pastor or their youth leader for that matter. And I have seen the potential for bringing in exactly what Jack is doing. Exactly what Jack is doing is discipleship in sports. Exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
Because those coaches are not equipped. to deal with the real things that are going on in those kids' lives. When we speak about sports, it's not only about technical ability, physical ability. If there's anything I learned about soccer and sports, is that it's a mental game. It's about how strong are you up here. And there's a lot of, if I can, let's say, life coaching that needs to happen besides the technical soccer coaching. Many years ago, I don't know if you know David Matebula or David Matebula. He used to be a super sport player. He's now Kaiser Chiefs under-19 GDL coach. I met him, I think it was 10 years ago or so. And we did a life coaching course together. And I asked him, who are you? Because I knew I had no idea. All I know is when we walked to the shop, wherever we were walking, lunchtime on the course, everyone's like, oh, David. I said, like, are you famous? He says, I play soccer. Okay. And who do you play for? No, I play for Supersport. Okay. All right. So you score goals. What do you do? I knew nothing. I was completely, but that's not the point. That's just a bit of history. The point is that this man understood that for him, because his goal was to become a coach at Kaiser Chiefs.
Yeah.
And he understood the need not only for his coaching license, which is important and necessary because you can't coach without it. He understood the need to understand people.
Yeah.
To understand people. And to coach human beings and to motivate people. Now here's the thing. You can be a very good coach and you can win games. But you cannot win at the expense of those who are winning for you.
Yeah.
Those boys need to be built.
Yeah.
It cannot be more about winning a game and losing the boys.
Yeah.
Because the age that these kids are at, your 13-year-olds, 15-year-olds, I think when they in the under-19 levels, they've developed their own ideas and concepts. But when they are still developing mentally, it is you actually need to understand the responsibility that you are taking on as a coach for the nurturing of these boys. Because I'll give you an example. Last year, when Caleb joined this club that he's at, per week, he was training 11 hours per week. 11 hours per week.
Yeah.
11 hours per week. And that's besides games on the weekend. That's beside the playing of games. Now, he was in an environment that got his attention for 11 hours a week. And not only him, so many other boys who were in that same environment. And they were being shaped and formed by what was going on around them. Now, if you consider the amount of work, because these boys look up to their coaches, the amount of work that can be done to influence and to shape those young minds for Christ, to teach them. Because what we've also discovered over time is that a lot of these boys are going through a lot. And besides what's going on at home, that's, the fatherlessness, the economic conditions at home, the nutrition that they are dealing with. There's also the reality that a soccer player, one of his biggest challenges is his confidence.
Yeah.
Because confidence is something that can, today you're high, tomorrow you're low, and that affects your game. And sometimes all they need is for somebody to encourage them, clap hands for them. Go, boy, you can do it. Come on, you're a winner. You know what you're capable of. That is a big role that Pastor Cindy and I, by the way, it's a big role that we played for Caleb's team last year, and we will continue to do this year, where we would literally, and Luigi and Kelsey know about it, where we would stand on the side of the field and we would cheer them on. Even when they were 2-0 down, we would say, guys, there's time, we can score. And that would promote their confidence. Now, that is a practical example of what happens on the field, but there is so much affecting these boys, and they're at that age where it's that impressionable age where if you even though you are in a soccer team, there's a lot that happens there in terms of attitudes, and I'm not going to go into detail, but there's attitudes that develop. There's there's bullying that happens. There's all sorts of things that goes on even in that environment. And very often the coaches are not equipped to deal with this stuff. They are taught kick the ball straight, pass to the left, kick to the right, shoot and score and win the game. But they don't know how to deal with the realities because they themselves are going through stuff. So when we talk about discipleship through sports, there's a scripture in the Bible that says that Joseph became a father to Pharaoh. Joseph became a father to Pharaoh. So even though Pharaoh was the highest ranking person in the country, Joseph was his father. And sometimes the coach himself needs to be fathered. The coach himself needs to be mentored. And when he's in order, he can bring the boys in order, and you can facilitate and help that as well. There's a journey that everybody needs to go on, and you will really become more of a holistically developed player or human being, because we are trying to raise some gentlemen, some young men who have character. And that discipleship through sports is an amazing opportunity to catch them at the right age, at the right time, where you have so much that you can impart to them. So I think I just want to say that, to all those who are listening, that, oh, by the way, I just want to comment on something before I land my little plane here. We didn't meet Jack last year or this year. We met Jack, I don't know, Cindy,
years ago. In Turfentine.
Turfentine days already. I'm just commenting that.
Long ago.
When we were in Turfentine. So our journey, God just has a way of connect and then etc., etc. But coming back to what I'm saying here is that I think that it's the right time to partner. It's the right time to connect because we have exactly the same heartbeat.
Agreed.
Jack is speaking about the metaverse. We are into things like that. We don't understand all of it, but we're keen on spreading the gospel in different ways to weigh things. Everybody, you must continue to do what you're doing, but allow me to do it differently. You do you if you get what I'm saying. And it's important that we reach these young people. And I really have such a heart for this, for reaching these young people, because I have seen, come and tell you something, and I'm really going to finish now because somebody else needs to say something.
I'm not laughing.
No, don't.
I was sneezing.
Yes. Let me tell you something, Hugging a teenager, a 16-year-old, 14-year-old.
Wow.
Sometimes you actually wonder if they want to let go. It's like nobody's hugged them in years.
Yeah.
It's a powerful ministry, this hugging business. It's really big. Just holding them.
They hug you like you're their parent.
It's a big thing.
It's very big.
I'm going to pause myself right there because else, it's another sermon. Elvina?
Thank you so much, Apostle Marco. Thank you so much, Prophetess Cindy. Jack, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Before we do go, we are out of time, but I know there's one project that you guys are running, and I know if there's one thing that you're very concerned about, It's about the safety of the children at Corinthians. Can you tell us about the building of the wall project in the same breath? Because I know you're going to speak forever and a day. Please tell us how people can reach you. Please tell us where people can reach you on social media, and then back over to you.
Yeah, no, I'll try not to speak a lot because shots are fired at myself and Pastor Marco, but that is okay. Uh, I would like to also just really acknowledge, firstly, yourself, Elvina, and thank you for connecting me with the leadership of Innovation Church. You guys are discerning the spirit of the times, and I like that you're not only being traditional. I mean, to do church the way you're doing church for me is beautiful. It might not make sense to a lot of people, but I definitely get it. And I'd like to thank you more importantly for connecting me with Pastor Marco and Pastor Cindy. As they said, known them for quite some time. My mentor speaks highly of them, and I think their credibility speaks for itself in the community. And thank you. I was away the past week doing my license, and thank you for coming to Corinthians, the work that you've done. I was in my office and I was like, yo, I'm in heaven, Baba. And I just came in there and I was instructing people. I'm like, I need Nigerian bouncers. No one must enter my office. The way it's so clean, because before it was so dusty and it was so dirty. And the walls, guys, if you don't know, ne, the walls in Corinthians, if you come into the facility, so we have an education center, it was dark, Baba. You wouldn't say we're faith based, you'd say otherwise. And I'd really like to acknowledge Innovation Church for painting and really helping to renovate that space. There's light. You guys brought light, literally and figuratively. You brought light into that space, man. And just hearing about how, the church, Abu Mama in the community, Elvina's mom, the young people, Jaden, it really touched my heart, man. Even though I was very far away and my head was inundated with assignments from the license I was doing. I just really want to acknowledge you. It might seem small, which it's not. It's massive. And it goes the long way in creating a right atmosphere. So I just wanted to take the time to honor both of you. And I'm really excited to connect further, seeing that I'm back as well. And look, to the people out there, we are having a building project that we're working on in really putting security around where we are. As you may know, we're in La Rochelle, close to Rosettenville, known for all the wrong reasons, which I'm not going to hype, but it's just for the safety of the kids and the safety of the equipment and the safety of what we are building. And if you've got bricks, you've got cement, you have hands, and you are able to come on board, you can reach out to us. We are Corinthians Africa. We used to be Corinthians FC. We are no more FC now. We in Africa. We've got a footprint in Africa. Malawi, there's 10,000s of people there, and we growing. In fact, today I was talking to someone in Senegal, and they relaunching or looking at really building Corinthians in Senegal as well. And so yeah, Corinthians Africa and all social media, LinkedIn, we're on TikTok. Today's my first time doing the whole TikTok thing. I'm a bit behind. Please do forgive me. Us old people with gray hair, quite old, youngsters like yourselves are really on with the times. Instagram, we're there. Facebook, we're there, and we'd love to connect with you. Corinthians belongs to the people. It's not a jack thing, and so we welcome your ideas. We welcome your participation. And like Innovation Church, if you just have a broom, you have a brush, you have a brick, come and build with us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jack. I just have one last question for you. Can I have Lisego's number, please?
You and these blind soccer players, we need to report you to the authority structures in Innovation Church. You and my players. But I'm also just excited about Jaden as well. And I'm no more coaching, if I may say, the Corinthians blind team. I've passed it on to TJ, is the head coach. And Jaden's been assisting him. And I'm really passionate about succession as well. So really excited to see what God is going to do. I'm going to have a training course with them and drill them and get into their heads. But I'm excited. These are the young people who change narratives. These are the young people that are driving it. Young people like Caleb as well. Just hearing his story. Firstly, he's a Man U supporter, so we share the same blood, and he's got a bright future because of that. Firstly, And then secondly as well, just Pastor Cindy and Pastor Marco, I don't think you know how big your role is. And this is not throwing brownie points or just easy flattery. I think you nailed it, Pastor Cindy, when you spoke about how, you are now the parental figure, not only for Caleb, but for every young person that is there. Because in true essence, the young kids are spending more time with the coach than with the pastor, than with the youth leader, who they see only once a week, but with the coach they see 4 times plus. And so that is a discipling process. It's a powerful one. And Innovation Church is not only on TikTok, Innovation Church is on the sports field, it's on the soccer field. You might not be posting it all the time, but you guys are on the soccer field. You guys are making a difference. You guys are changing the narrative. It doesn't have to be from a speaker of a mic, but by your very presence, you are ministering on the pulpit of the soccer pitch. And that in itself is testament to God's calling over your life. Signing out.
Amen. Thank you so much, Jack. We really do appreciate your time. We appreciate everything that you do for the kingdom of God. God bless you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I know we are a little bit over time. We do apologize, but thank you so much for joining us tonight. Just a reminder that at the end of April, all roads lead to Standerton. A reminder of the items that we were requested to take with us as well. Remember, the ask was for Bibles, for books that you no longer use, for non-perishable food, as well as toiletries. And hopefully some of our friends at Corinthians can actually join us. We'll actually look forward to you guys joining us on the day, but I will share the details with Makosi Jack and she can communicate with the team. Let's see who is available. And yeah, let's use the gospel to go and transform lives. Just announcements, upcoming announcements for the week. On Friday night, KU is meeting. And on Sunday, we're concluding our series on the prophetic. You're more than welcome to join us Sunday morning at 7:45, 8:45, my apologies, for our Sunday morning service. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Jack, I am, however, leaving with a sad heart. You dodged that question like a true politician. So I guess I am not getting Lesejo's number, but it's all good. Thank you so much for joining, everybody. God bless you and good night.